Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our latest episode of Real Take Real Estate with the Joseph team, where we give you our real take on today's housing market and everything to do with real estate. I'm your host, Maddie Maloney, joined by my co-hosts,
Sam Fada,
Joe Sambear.
Today, we have the honor of having our second guest on this podcast, Adam Goss. Adam.
Who was the first guest?
Yes, we did have Scott on before. Now we have the pleasure of having Adam. So Adam joined Dart Bank in 2015 as a commercial lender, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so you joined in 2015. His primary duties include business lending, establishing and enhancing relationships with community members, partners, and businesses. Adam has over 18 years of banking experience, with the majority of the time spent in commercial banking. Adam received his bachelor's degree in economics and management from Albion College, where he also played baseball and football. He is also a graduate of the Graduate School of Banking, Wisconsin, and Robert M. Perry School of Banking. In his spare time, Adam enjoys spending time with his wife and 3 children. So thank you so much, Adam, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. So, Adam, starting off, can you just tell us a little bit about maybe what your day-to-day looks like as a commercial lender and kind of what all you do?
Sure. I think the important thing about, being a commercial lender in this community is being, having the relationships with the different businesses, with the different business owners, and being almost like an unpaid consultant if they need something. All of us at Dart Bank have a lot of pride in what we do, and we want to be there to help. So day to day, it's just fielding phone calls and making sure that you're there for them, seeing if you can, see around the corner at times and anticipate if something's coming up for a business owner, making sure that you can, get them the things that they need and mostly just be there for them. So.
Yep.
And that's why we love working with Adam. I've had the pleasure of working with Adam for over, I think, almost 14, 15 years now, and he is a true relationship banker. And you don't see that as much anymore whether it's commercial or residential. That's why we work so well, as a team, because we look at it as a relationship first, not a transaction. So then you can sit down, and Adam does such a great job sitting down with the business owner and having a cup of coffee and saying, "Hey, what's your problems? I'm going to try to come up with a game plan, a solution," instead of just going into the transaction of, okay, what can you do for me? What can I do for you? It's really not like that. And that's why it's so enjoyable working with you.
Yeah. And I don't think sometimes we even realize the efficiencies that we've created over time with different business owners. It's very easy for you guys to set up an intro email and, we slide right into that and make sure we make those connections and get people what they need. So, love being here at Dart Bank. It's a great family to be part of, and enjoy working with you guys.
Absolutely.
Definitely. So going into the next question, what kind of sets you apart and maybe Dart Bank apart to make Dart Bank and yourself someone to partner with, to do their banking with, and to do their business with?
Sure. Yeah, that's a good question. This day and age in banking, it seems like banking is such a commodity. Most of us do similar things in banking in general. I think the thing that makes us different is the people and the relationships that we have with each other. I work a lot with our treasury management team. We have a team of people that are always available, to help out, and we're dedicated to being that person that people need. I think that's mostly the thing. We do focus on fast and reliable banking. So making sure that we can get people the answers that they need and not stringing people along and, answering that phone call when it's needed.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. And I really think that, like we said before, it's all about that relationship banking. And because you're not just helping them out, you're going to be a friend to them. You're going to be helping them out throughout, everything that they're going through. And this was also kind of recognized. We didn't bring this up before, but you were the first award winner of the Dart Bank Darty Award for networking. So congratulations there. But Adam does a fantastic job of just networking and making sure that you are out in the community, being visible, being there, supporting everyone, supporting the businesses that you help with, not just on the transactional professional side, but in their community events for what they care about. So that's just something really awesome that you do, and congratulations on that
thank
award
you.
as
That,
well.
that was surprising to me because I don't look at myself as a networker like that.
You just see it as having fun on the golf course, of course, right?
I just try to be a good communicator with people.
Yes.
And, in doing that, some days it doesn't even feel like I'm working. I'm just being there, communicating with people and making sure that during a time of need that I'm there for them. So, Bill Huffnagel, who, we all care about a lot, and I think a lot of us are here because of Bill at Dart Bank. He says a lot of times, 80% of the time, it doesn't matter what bank you're with, but you're going to want to be with Dart Bank during the other 20% of the time. When things come up and things go bad, Dart Bank is a place that will step up and be there for you. So
Definitely.
Well, we definitely thought it would be educational for our listeners to do the basics of commercial lending. And maybe you could walk us through, for someone that's looking to start a business or is a business owner already, of maybe some of the products. We can start with maybe just some of the product offerings of what's the most common type of commercial loans that they could start considering or thinking about as they start making plans.
Yeah, definitely. When we look at the different types of loans that we do, we do different types of loans for short-term money needs, different types of loans for long-term money needs. If you're looking at long-term, mostly we look at like commercial real estate. Those are generally 5-year terms, and they're amortized over 20 years. So that customer is going to be paying back that loan over 20 years. As far as financials that are needed and different things, we're collecting, tax returns. We pretty much collect everything that you guys collect, which is nice to work with you and with, making sure that we get out everything that we need. The only thing outside of that we look at for the commercial loans is a personal financial statement. And that's really just a snapshot of where someone is at as far as income, assets, liabilities, different things like that. So that would be more of the long term with the commercial real estate. We also do very short term things. Those would be like lines of credit, operating lines of credit, equipment lending. The operating lines of credit are something that we would do over like a 12-month period, and that is to help someone, help a business owner with short-term cash flow needs. A lot of times, payables, they get slowed up with other companies' payables where it's their receivables, and sometimes they would need to draw on a line of credit while they're waiting for that payment. And then once they get that payment, they pay down that line of credit, and then we look at that on a yearly basis. So
it seems like, Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, but this type of banking is quite different than what most people are used to. So like an auto loan, a mortgage, a credit card. Maybe a credit card's a little different a little bit, but those are very transactional. We think of them as relationship, but the transaction starts and it closes and there's an end.
yeah.
Where commercial, most of these products you've talked about why it's so important to have relationships is it is a long term. There's covenants in here. There's you look at future cash flows. It's a whole different type of lending in a way.
Sometimes it's seeing things into the future or trying your best to. All the loans that we transact, we're looking at that relationship yearly, and we're always meeting with customers and having lunch with them and having conversations about what this year is going to look like for them, what they're planning for down the future. But, with a lot of the loans that we do, we're collecting financials yearly to see if we can, help out with anything or see around that corner to understand what's coming down the pipe. So,
and it's a lot of these are like cash flow management issues, and that's one of the biggest risks to small business and any business is management of cash flow and future.
Correct. Yeah. And that's where we come in with the operating lines of credit. We have a lot of different type of companies, and based on that cash flow, some companies get paid fairly quickly on things, but then you have some other type of, some more complex products that people are selling or providing to people, and sometimes those take 120, 180 days to get paid back, and during that time, that customer is going to need some cash flow to pay for payroll and different types of
seasonal
expenses
businesses too.
Correct. Yep.
So that kind of goes into our next question about some common misconceptions. So one thing that you mentioned is, it's not just a once you close, you're done. You don't need to provide any documentation later, which you do, yearly you need to update some documentation. So that's maybe one misconception that people have, is that they think that they're all set after closing. Are there any other misconceptions or obstacles that sometimes people run into that they weren't really expecting because they thought it was going to be similar to a mortgage or a car loan?
Sure. Yeah. Definitely the misconception on the financials needed. We do have to collect things on a yearly basis so that we can, keep a close eye on these credits and understand if a business is going in the wrong direction and making sure we stay ahead of that. Another misconception probably would be, the idea of what is needed in order to do a loan. When we look at any type of loan, we're looking for that operating entity to be able to repay that loan with their cash flow. A lot of people will say, well, I'd love to do $1 million loan. I'm going to give you a $3 million property, but I can't show you any income. Mm-hmm. Well, that's not a great fit for us, because we need to show that we can get repaid back first. We don't want that property back. It doesn't make us feel good by taking, a property that has extra equity in it just to do a loan. Mm-hmm. That helps, and it could add strength to the loan, but we need to see that strong cash flow as far as repayment goes. That's your first source. Yeah, so that's a big misconception out there. People want us to feel good about things because there's a lot of equity there. Mm-hmm. We need to see both parts of it, cash flow and the equity.
Which is good, because you're kind of making sure that you're setting them up for success in the future too. Like, you can't just put this on a property. You got to make sure that you're going to be successful.
Correct, yeah.
And just making sure. So, you kind of maybe have a little bit of a crystal ball that you're looking into, or a little bit like, all right, what can we see here? What can we do? So yeah, that's awesome.
I just wish everybody would, actually listen to you like that and take your advice. Challenge. But that's, sometimes my wife doesn't want to take my advice either.
It is always a challenge, but that's why we're here. And that's why we have the relationships, so we can build the trust with people, so that they can see, hey, we're just looking out for your best interests for the future. We want you to be successful. We're not trying to bring you down or to, throw out your business plans. We want you to thrive in this market, and we're here to help you do that, but maybe help you come to terms with some, harder questions or some harder realities that might come to play in the future. So,
Adam, when you're sitting down, like you made an appointment, and that new prospect is going to be meeting with you, even if it's an experienced business or a new first business, maybe you can tell us the difference between a new business plan and someone that's been in business for a long time, and what they would expect to provide you with, and kind of maybe how that initial process goes of meeting and documentation maybe.
Yeah, we look at all sorts of businesses from what stage they're in. We met with a business the other day that was celebrating their 25th, anniversary. We're coming up to our 100th anniversary, so we definitely run into some companies like that. But we definitely meet with the ones that are new business ventures. And when we meet with a new company, obviously there needs to be an idea there. Why are you starting this company? What is the problem that is being fixed with this company? And with that comes a business plan. I need to see kind of what you're seeing. You need to lay it out for the bank so that we can and see the vision. And a lot of times when it's a new business, that's where we might lead and go into more of a small business association loan, an SBA loan. There's two different programs out there, the SBA 7A and the SBA 504 program. And both those programs help new companies that are just starting. Mm-hmm. Okay. And what they do is they basically give the bank an extra level of comfort, And through the 504 program, it does a dual loan. So the bank does 50%, the SBA does through a 504. They do another part of the loan, but the bank has the first lien right. So that makes the bank feel pretty comfortable. The SBA 7A program is more of a guarantee program, where if the bank wants to do a loan to a new entity or someone that is lacking maybe some collateral, the SBA will come in and stamp their guarantee on it, and that gets the bank comfortable with it. So,
and the concept is the federal government intervening to try to stabilize commercial lending for newer businesses,
Correct.
small
Yeah, 'cause
businesses. That's
I mean, that's the American dream, right? To open up a new business. So that is the program that really helps people kind of facilitate that.
And there's a lot of success with those.
We've had a
with those
ton of
programs.
success with that. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. We've gone from the infancy with a lot of these businesses and seen them grow into things that are really phenomenal to see. And really some companies that are doing some fantastic things, not only in the Lansing area but nationwide.
So when you see these companies succeed, from the infancy, from first getting that loan until, blossoming into their new ventures, do you see a trend of maybe some things that these companies have in common, or the business owners that they're doing? Is there a secret formula to having a successful business?
I guess it would be grit.
Grit's huge for sure.
We learned a lot about grit at the sales symposium. I really do think it comes down to that in some aspect, the grit aspect. There's a lot of people in this world that just have this tendency to not look at bad news as bad news. They just look at it as news. And sometimes they are able to just take problems or any type of obstacle and just kind of move past that and find a way to the other side. That's always something that I look for. When I look for someone that I want to do business with, I want to be able to sit down with them, understand their business, look them in the eye and shake their hand and say, this is a good partnership here. Believe it or not, I've met with people that probably have the best business around, and I could just tell that it wasn't a great fit. And that's okay. We're not going to be a great fit for everyone. But those people that you can connect with, those people that you can look them in the eye and say, yeah, this is a good partnership, those tend to be the people that are successful. Yeah.
Awesome. So is there anything that has really changed for some businesses when they're starting now that has changed from COVID? Because I would assume, with the economy right now, it's a little bit harder to get a business going. Is there anything that has really changed in the processes that you're seeing, or more obstacles that businesses are facing?
Yeah, it seems like things have started to settle down a little bit from COVID. We definitely saw some companies that were having issues in getting product in, or getting a certain type of widget in that they needed in order to finish their product. So those were some cycles that we had to work through with customers. I've seen a lot of customers become very successful since COVID because of going through that transition. We've earned a lot of business in the Lansing area and probably across the state, through how Dart Bank handled COVID. The PPP program, the Paycheck Protection Program that came out during COVID was a big success for us, and it wasn't a success for a lot of other banks. We took that on head on. We had our CFO, Jerry Sambear, was doing applications for the PPP. We earned a lot of business that way. And that's kind of what Bill refers to as that 20% of the time. When COVID hit, a lot of other bankers went home. Well, we didn't. We kept our doors open. We fielded phone calls. We got people that money. And it ended up that everybody that wanted the money got the money, but it didn't feel like that for the first couple days.
Yeah.
It felt like that money was going to go quickly. And
a lot of uneasiness for business owners in
Sure.
the first 30, 60 days. And
Yeah,
a lot
I
of
think-
weekends for you guys.
and that's, affliction is a good man's time to shine. And I truly believe that it's that's how I view my customers, is that when they need me, I better be able to put my foot on the gas for them.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I think that's what we all kind of feel like as far as Dart Bank employees.
It all comes back to that relationship piece. I think with you especially, that's why you're so successful and able to connect with people and help people. It all comes back to that relationship piece for sure.
Well, who I learned that from, Sam, is from my dad,
Yep.
who worked for Paul Feta and Sons. He worked
I was
for
going to bring that up. I had that in my notes here.
He worked for Sam's grandfather when I was growing up, and they did pizza supplies.
Yeah. Yep.
Pizza sauce and blocks of cheese, big blocks
Bricks
of
of cheese.
Bricks
Oh,
of
yeah.
cheese.
My dad was always driving them around up
Yeah.
and down the state delivering. And Your dad was the top salesman for my grandpa, and there's some great stories out there with him, and he was successful. I think that's got to be obviously where you get a lot of it from, was that relationship piece, and that's why he thrived there, and I think that's for sure why you thrive with the bank.
And they also had the grit as well.
The grit.
They had the grit.
Yeah, nobody
They had the bellies to show the grit.
You're right about that, for sure.
We used to, anytime we would go up to Traverse City to our cottage, we would eat our whole way up there. We would have like
non-stop
5 pizzas by the time we got up there. So.
Yeah, we'd do the same thing. You'd stop at every single one. Pizza Sam's in Alma was a great one. My dad would always stop at. And
yeah, but I think that's where I learned that from. And I think that's, my dad learned that from the Feta family. And you have to have an appreciation. You can't take your customers for granted. And you need to be there for them when they need you the most. So
absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah, every challenge, every obstacle is just going to be an opportunity to show your strength. So not only has Dart Bank showed our strength during COVID, Adam has been able to show his strength during that moment when his clients need him most. And I think that's what we try to do as well as our mortgage banking team, as the Joseph team. We also try to show our strength during any challenge that we face with our customers, no matter what it is. We always try to provide them, some different opportunities that maybe other banks can't do, but definitely.
Adam, what would you say would be some signs of an existing business when they're working with their bank that should concern them if they should be thinking about their relationship with their bank? Is there common threads of signals or signs that it might not be a good fit from where they're at currently? Yeah,
I think trying to find a bank that you're comfortable with reaching out to and asking some difficult questions. This day and age, and what we're seeing a lot right now, is we're seeing a lot of fraud out there. If your banker is not talking to you about fraud and different ways that you can protect yourself from that fraud, then you might want to rethink that relationship a little bit. Being able to be with a bank that sees around a corner, a lot of times, we dealt with such low interest rates for so long that if a customer had a surplus of money in a checking account, it wasn't a huge deal, because the other option wasn't to earn a ton of money on the other side. Well, now these banks are, the interest rates are higher, so there is some opportunity there to earn a better interest rate. If your banker's taking you for granted and not telling you about those options, then you're missing a piece.
And that fraud thing's a big issue, because it's a lot different than personal finance and personal banking. The commercial banking is different because you have only a very short period of time to identify the fraud and contest it, and it's just a whole different deal. And business owners are kind of surprised by it, I think, that.
Yep.
So going into the next question, kind of getting into a little bit of technology, because we're definitely in a technological world now. So how does Dart Bank and, how do you handle technology on the commercial side? And what are some things that you and Dart do that they offer that a business, for everything that they need?
Yeah, I think that's evolved a lot in community banking over the last 20 years since I've gotten into banking. Community banks probably in the past have wanted to wait and watch other larger institutions work through problems before they would take a look at something. Bill Hufnagel is not that way. There was at our sales symposium, one of our speakers said, if you looked at the technology box, that's a box that can never really be checked because it's ongoing. And if we're going to be a leader in the banking area, and if we're going to be able to add those products and be the bank that people need, we have to be the tip of the spear on that. So that is something that we invest in heavily to make sure that we have all of the bells and whistles that customers need. And we're always trying to look out at the future to see what's coming down the pipe. I had a boss maybe 15, 20 years ago when they were talking about remote deposit capture and the ability to take a picture, of a check with your phone. And I thought he almost fell out of his seat.
That's so common.
And now that's so common. So who knows what's coming down, the pipe. And we can't, stick our head in the sands to think that doesn't make sense, because it's going to come regardless. So we need to get ahead of it. We need to be trying to figure it out. And I think that's always a conversation that's going on at the bank. So.
Because some of that technology piece is actually now the communication between the bank and the customer and the relationship.
Yeah.
It's taken a bigger role.
Yep. Yeah, that technology piece is really what's going to potentially save you from some fraud.
Right.
When we did our PPP loans, we were really thankful that we had rolled out e-signature a few months prior to that, because when we did all of those PPP loans, I can't remember, 600 plus, we were able to e-sign all of those. And if we had to run those out to people, it just wouldn't have worked.
No.
Yeah.
It would have been a nightmare. So we were thankful, and that was something that was kind of stamped the idea that we need to be ahead of it and stay ahead of it as far as technology goes.
Definitely. That's one thing that I really do love about our bank is that we have the community banking feel. We have the relationship piece there. When you call us, you're going to get a person, not an automated machine. But we also have the big bank technology and the big bank, all the bells and whistles as well. So that's one thing that I think is really cool. All right. So kind of the last piece that I wanted to go over, do you have a favorite customer success story or maybe a favorite part of your job that you just love to do?
Well, I definitely like eating pizzas at any of my restaurants.
That's got to be a top one for sure.
You know what? Whether it's to me, it doesn't matter what type of business is. I don't have a certain business that, boy, I really love working with that industry.
You're really good at not picking favorites right now.
Yeah. I have been known to do some pizza places, but anytime that I can get to know someone, it seems like a lot of my customers, whether it's good or bad, have turned into friends, and that's just what I enjoy about it, is that I get to know people, I get to know their children, I get to know their parents and what their dreams are, and trying to help them get to that place. And through that, if I can get them there somehow or another, it gets me to where I am trying to go to. So I think that's the best part is just working with different types of people and getting to know them.
That's awesome.
It's great.
Any
All
last
comes back
questions?
to that relationship
Yeah.
piece.
Yes. Yep.
That's why we do what we do.
Absolutely.
We love it.
Just lastly, I think, again, because commercial's a lot different than the other pieces of banking, I think it's just always being comfortable just to call and say, hey, this is my problem. Can you guys fix it? You might not know how to fix it. It might be the average business person or consumer might really not understand. Like, there is a lot more flexibility on the commercial side. There's different ways we look at things. I think just feel comfortable reaching out and saying, we're always going to welcome that call.
Yeah. I always tell people, look, I'm a 24/7 banker. I want, if I find out, Sam, that you have a question, if you're my customer and you're not reaching out to me on a Sunday afternoon, I'm going to be more angry at you than anything, because I want to get that call. And I'm not going to have the answers. I'm not going to have all the answers, but I promise you I'll find out. And I'll find the person that does have the answer. And that's just the type of relationships that we try to build. That's where we have the good fit, is being that person for people. So
Awesome. Well, we will definitely make sure to include your contact information for anyone that wants to be able to reach out to Adam. Obviously, going through this podcast, you have heard all the amazing things that, commercial banking is going to be able to offer, that Adam is able to offer, and just how to help build your business and make it successful. Kind of like the next step of the American dream. With residential lending, we want to help you create that American dream with getting into a home. Adam, you kind of do the next step. You kind of help make it bigger. Obtain that business venture, that business dream that, some people have. So definitely thank you so much, Adam, for coming on today. We are so thankful. So again, today we went over a little bit about commercial lending. We learned everything that Adam has to offer. So we will have his contact information if anyone has any commercial lending questions, or you just want to, have a good friend. Adam is the one for you.
I can always be that good friend.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining today's episode of Real Take Real Estate with the Joseph team. If you like today's episode, please subscribe, give us a 5-star review. Let us know in the comments if you guys liked today's episode, if you have any follow-up questions or anything else that you would like to hear. And we will catch you next time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.